Colton-Medici here. It is Monday. It's Wednesday. I'm so behind on my days. It is a good morning and it's better today because the weather is not so hot in LA. If you were here this weekend, it was ridiculously hot. Like I think the temperature jumped about 30 degrees and I don't think we were all prepared for this. And my lips are chapped, so my apologies. But let's get into some of the stories that happened yesterday and are still kind of continuing on today. There were so many. I did a lot of social media posts yesterday, but you may not have seen them all. One of the biggest things that happened is Donald Trump's trip to Saudi Arabia, where there were a lot of tech bros there. And I had a lot of comments on my TikTok post that I made yesterday. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on some of the images from yesterday that they had. I believe this is from Bloomberg. The first one is of Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Okay, so this is from Riyadh, I think is how we say this. And you can hear me still. So this is a picture of Elon Musk. Let me get out of the way here. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and I believe MBS. Okay, so this is from the TikTok of Bloomberg, I'm pretty sure. Bloomberg Business. Now, a lot of people pointed out this one very big detail. He is in a suit. He showed up for this meeting, this sort of thing going on, in a suit. It was a sort of financial forum or something of sorts, tech forum. But he wouldn't show up to the White House in a suit. So this should tell you all you need to know about the level of sort of respect and consideration he has for the American government, because he shows up for MBS in a suit. Now, Oval Office meetings, not so much. We'll just bring our son along with us. We'll just put him on our head with a cap on, a baseball cap. And just the level of respect that he's showing to Saudi Arabia versus what he shows to the American government is very, very telling. Let me show you a few other pictures of the people who were in attendance. You have the AMD CEO, Lisa Su. You also have, I believe this is the, is it the NVIDIA? No, this is, okay, so BlackRock's CEO was there. Hold on, let me get out of the way. Jane Fraser, who is the CEO of Citi, was there. You have the Palantir CEO there as well. And I think this person down here, I think he's the CEO of NVIDIA. Now, let me just say that with all of these people there, a lot of the comments in my social media post over on TikTok talked about what they might be doing, okay, and how this is not necessarily about the tech companies as much as it is about Saudi Arabia shifting from oil into, and not shifting completely, but just opening up their sort of ideas into technology, right? So that they not only have some sort of wealth in oil and gas, but also in tech. And so this sort of meeting, alliance, backroom negotiations of sort, right, have very big implications for how much we will see them in our future, okay? Ferris Bueller says he's a prince. Yeah. I love the fact that your profile name is Ferris Bueller because we all need a day off. Vivian, how are you this morning? It's not morning for you, but it's my morning. Ferris says he is investing $4 billion into the United States. That's what he's doing. Yes, so I've heard about this sort of investment. While Donald Trump has been over there, we have seen this sort of red carpet of sorts rolled out. I want to show you an image that I'd screenshotted. I think I still have it in my images from this morning, and it was an interesting one because let me see if I can find it really quickly. He was This is it. He was receiving this lavish welcome in Qatar, and all of these down here, these are camels. And I think this is the president in the beast. I think that's what they call it, the beast. And these are all camels. And I was like, okay. And in the headline, it says the president was greeted with mounted camels and red cyber trucks in Doha. I mean, it's an interesting look that this is the sort of red carpet treatment. I don't know what all of those CEOs will have going on with this government, but it looks like, I mean, besides the fact that he looks like he's got his credentials at a convention, it looks like all of them came to pay their respects. And in doing so, extend this sort of open arms to whatever it is that they might be offering or want to be securing in the future. You can speculate all you want about what that might mean for their companies. Maybe that means that their companies are going to receive a lot of investment. But what does that mean for what they, meaning the Saudis or even the Qatari, expect in return? Okay. While he was there, he lifted the sanctions on Syria. And I had a lot of comments in one of my social media posts about this sort of pipeline of oil that might go through Syria to get to, I believe, Turkey, something like this. And that might be another reason why Donald Trump and Netanyahu are having some friction. I don't know the ins and outs of what's really happening, but I do know that these sort of images are things we're going to be talking about in the very near future, because a lot of the deals that are going to be happening, I believe, benefit Donald Trump. Because once he's gone, he's looking out for himself, right? He might be somewhat looking out for these business owners, but he's really always got himself in mind. So whatever deals they're making right now will significantly help him. Whether or not they help us, we shall see. But it reminds me of all the different technology that people have been using, whether it's ChatGPT or facial technology recognition, whether you're doing the screen mapping at the TSA checkpoints, whether you have the thumbprint or the visual recognition on your phones or any of your devices, like a lot of these things, or even connecting to Starlink and the Apple Starlink connection. Like I feel like a lot of these things we are not aware of how much they are going to impact us within 10 years. I literally got a jury summons where I had to go online. Now, they did have a phone number for hearing impaired, but they did not have any other phone number. I'm looking at it right now. They didn't have any other phone number. Sorry, there is one on the back. But when you do that, it's like they expected you to just go to the website and put in your sort of login information that they give you. But what I'm afraid of is that we won't be doing the sort of everything that we normally do to accommodate every person just in local things. We're going to be relying on all of this technology. And what is really concerning is what happens when it fails, right? Where will we be? Do you remember the phone book? The really big phone book? Yeah, I do too. My husband actually got a huge, we saw it downstairs in our apartment complex, a huge dictionary. It's a Merriam-Webster dictionary. I'm going to say it's probably this thick, okay? It's an unabridged version of the dictionary. And he was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. Let's put it in our book collection. It looks so pristine because nobody is using it, okay? The other thing is the phone book and the dictionary have become outdated, right? Not that we don't need a dictionary and, can look that up, but we can look it up online. So what happens when the technology breaks? We will have to go back to this sort of manual, by hand, must use our brains again sort of thing that we needed to do all along. So I'm concerned that when we invest all of this money in technology and all these other foreign companies are investing in the technology, that at some point it will break. Will we be able to function, or will we? Do you know how when you log into work and you're a remote worker, or even when you're at work in the office and oh, our email system's down, and you're like, well, turn off the computer. Like, what are we gonna do? Especially if we are this sort of technology first sort of nation, globe, what happens when it all goes down and we cannot communicate with one another, or we are having issues with getting in touch with the emergency services or anything like that. It's one of those things where, do you want to rely on technology that much? And how much do they get? You remember how we were talking about the haves versus the have-nots when the CEO of United Healthcare was gunned down in New York? And people were very united about what we understood. Health insurance companies were denying claims, and this was bad, right? Now, they were getting all of this money, and they were giving their CEOs all of these bonuses, right? And I'm not saying that people should be gunned down, but it was a moment in time where not every single, but most people were very, very aware of the haves versus the have-nots. And this is a moment where I really believe it's a turning point of where we actually can pinpoint the people who are running the globe. It's not just a facade of like, we have a democracy. No, we really do have this sort of oligarchy, this kakistocracy. A lot of people have not, or the tech, I think there's like a techocracy or something. There's another term for it. But a lot of people haven't really woken up to the fact that we really do have just a handful of people running things. And the rest is this sort of like facade to make people believe or comfortable with the fact that, yeah, you do have a say, kind of, right? All right, so let's go into a few other stories that happened. Okay, Trump meets Syrian leader. I believe he's over here. Trump is over here. This is in Saudi Arabia. And the headline is so like, what? Because a lot of people forget this. Okay, look at this. It says Trump shook hands with former jihadist Ahmad al-Sharaa, who once had a $10 million US bounty on his head. Now, I don't know if people say, let bygones be bygones, but by golly, I believe he let bygones be bygones at this point. When he's sitting across from him. Now, look how far away he is. He didn't sit next to him at a table. Look how far away he is. Do you think he's comfortable? I'm not sure. But I do know this. He's putting his sort of bounty aside in order to lift these restrictions, these sanctions on Syria. Now, I understand from those comments that I was telling you about that this is part of some sort of bigger strategy. And like I said, who knows if this will ever come to fruition. But a lot of people have said, the Qatari government is backing, or not backing, but supports Hamas. And we, as the United States, have been supporting very publicly Israel, while we have also been calling for the stopping of the genocide, right? So there are a lot of chess pieces here to where I don't know that he can be very much in the middle of all of it when it looks like the ceasefire has to happen. But getting in bed with all of these people, it doesn't mean that you don't owe them something. So I'm very curious as to what we have allowed to be said in these backroom negotiations that we will all probably pay for in the future. Vivian says, I see nothing good in this about what he's doing. I don't know if there's any good of this except for trying to put lipstick on a pig. I think that's what they call it. This one was very interesting. This is a headline that I saw. It says Social Security, meaning the administration, reminds workers about quote, resurrecting people wrongly declared dead. Now, I don't know if you remember, but Elon Musk was like, all these dead people are receiving Social Security. Did you know that 8-year-olds are receiving Social Security? And it was just a very blatant reminder that he has no idea who actually receives Social Security and why. Okay. And then there are some people who actually did have their Social Security uh, removed or taken away because the administration declared them dead through his doing at Doge. And this is crazy because there was no real awareness on his part and his sort of team when they went in there, when they had no idea how the system worked and how antiquated it was. And they just kind of started cutting with no regard for anybody. Something that I saw, and I don't know if I can get to the beginning of this article, but it was about IKEA, and I wanted to show you. Where is it at the very top? Here it is. This lesser known IKEA section has products for as low as 29 cents. Now, because we know that shelves are going to be a little bit empty, I wanted to bring you this because I've never seen products for 29 cents at IKEA, and I happen to love IKEA. And so tell me in the comments if you guys have been to IKEA recently and if it's still one of your favorites, because it's one of my favorites. Says, what are IKEA's yellow tags? These tags you see on certain products indicate that they are IKEA's lowest priced items in a particular category, meaning they're even cheaper than the already affordable prices you'd expect from the Swedish superstore. Okay, so instead they're randomly dotted around the entire showroom. So you might not even know when you're in the showroom that these are the lowest prices. Okay, so then this article goes into the secret way to find IKEA's cheapest items online. There's 296 items when they did this article, and it has products for every room in the home that start at just 29 cents. And you can do some sorting. You can filter by the categories. Okay, I was so intrigued. Okay, and it goes into different sorts of pieces. Yellow tag pieces aren't discounted or limited time offers. Instead, they're pieces designed to keep the prices as low as possible. So I would go in, if you have a chance, there's this online section of 29 cents and up on IKEA. You can find this story if you want to Google it. This is the story, and you can find how to get there. It's called This Lesser Known IKEA Section Has Products for as Low as 29 Cents by Nomita Vaish Taylor. And it was from Monday. So go ahead and find that article and find some deals because I was so intrigued. I'm like, this is the next thing on my to-do list is to go and find these deals. So what is happening in your world? Because this whole idea of nonsense that we're looking at, it's never ending. I talked about this story yesterday, which I think was very interesting because I remember this when it happened. The Menendez brothers' long-awaited resentencing hearing to begin. So it happened yesterday. They were resentenced to 50 years with the possibility of parole. So if you didn't know about these two men right here, they were very young at the time that they murdered their parents. Okay, this was like in 1989, I believe. Lyle and Eric Menendez, they were, I think, like 18 and like 21. I think that was the age that they were when they did this. And thank you for liking my live stream. But this is the update. So they have been resentenced. I think the attorney, like the state attorney, did not want them, to have a resentencing, but they have been resentenced. I think they've served about 30 some years on their sentence. So maybe they will get time served. Maybe they will go before a parole board, and because they've served over 30 years of a 50 now year sentence, maybe they will be let out. But who knows? Maybe they won't. A lot of people had argued that they deserved a resentencing because the sort of information that came out about them, their upbringing, their relationship with their parents, would not have been the same sentence that they had received back in the day. I'm not sure because, obviously times change. But they did get resentenced. And if you are a fan or a sort of a supporter of theirs, as far as, how they've kind of served their time, they might get out, because they've been in jail and prison, and they have been sort of model prisoners, if you could call it that, helping to sort of help other people while they've been in there. So I'm not sure what people will say at that sort of parole board hearing, or if it will make a difference. Who knows? So this is what's happening today. Yesterday also, I talked about this right here, Gerard Depardieu. And this was like trending yesterday. There was also another trial with P. Diddy and Cassie Ventura testifying yesterday. She's also on the stand today. She's very, very, very pregnant. And the one thing that a lot of people talked about from yesterday was the fact that Diddy had his children in the courtroom. His daughters were there. And I had to think about this. Like, I would never, if I had been accused of the things that he's been accused of doing to people and women specifically, I don't think I could have my young daughters in the courtroom. You tell me in the comments, what do you think about having your children listen to your former girlfriend describe the horrible abuse that she has alleged he did to her, see and witness the video footage from where he was beating her up in the Intercontinental Hotel hallway, right by the elevator, dragging her down, and all of that video footage in the courtroom, and letting your children be present. Now, I know they're adults. I think they're adults. They're like in college or something right now. Yesterday, his daughters were there, and I believe today his son is there. I don't know if he has more than one son, but I know one of his sons is there. I'm not quite sure how I would allow that sort of replay to happen in front of my kids. Even if they said, because they're saying he didn't do it, right? Even if they say they didn't do it, just the implication and the video being played, I would just be like, I can't have my kids in there to see this. Now, I assume that because he's their dad, and we all saw the video from the Intercontinental Hotel, that they probably have already seen it too, because they're grown enough to see it on the internet. But I would just want to shield them from this in a courtroom. And then also to be able to say, you didn't do something. What if you went home and you had said, girls, that's not me. I didn't do that in that video. And then they went to court and they're like, Dad, that is you. Unless they are witness to that behavior all the time, right? Maybe that because he is that way, maybe they have experienced some of that or even witnessed some of that behavior during their life. And I'm just speculating here. This is not an allegation, but it is something that could have happened in their growing up, is witnessing his sort of temper, maybe. And I'm not sure if he has had one in front of them, but clearly he had one in the video. And that is something that I'm thinking, maybe that's why he's okay with them seeing it, because they know his true personality, and that side of him might have been something they had seen before. I'm not quite sure, but it just seems like a not a good thing to have your kids relive, like just the video part at least. But seeing her on the stand, I would just, as a juror, because I'm not a juror for this particular case, but, knowing that this girl or woman who went through whatever the experience was, saying her experience, then watching her experience on the video, validating what she's saying, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for me. But, everybody has to weigh the evidence in that jury room. I hope you're having a really good day. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Definitely share this out. Like this live stream. Share it to your friends and family and your colleagues. And if you have a chance, go over to my community tab. If you're subscribed, even if you're not subscribed, I think you can see the community tab. I have a ton of different polls from the month of May that I would love for you to take. It's all free. And it's on topics like AI, privacy, security, social security, your opinions on the baby bonus, like a lot of different uh, uh, surveys or quizzes or whatever you call them. But I'd love for you to take those and just scroll down in the community tab and let me know your opinion. And I will meet you in the comments of all of the videos that you see here on YouTube. And I will see you tomorrow. Yay! Thank you, Vivian. I'm so happy. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day and enjoy the sun.